I'm so happy that I'm finally filming this video. These are my favorite to film. Yeah.
Another video. Uh-oh.
This is actually the third one that I'm filming of all the movies that I've watched. So if you want to, you should go check out those other two as well. But if you're returning, you know how this goes. So let's get into it. I started off the year with the animated film Look Back, based on the manga of the same name by Tsuki Fujimoto, who you might know of Chainsaw Man fame and Fire Punch, but I haven't read that yet. Ugh. I'm a sucker for a good coming of age movie, okay? That is my bread and butter. Like, give me that shit. And besides me naturally gravitating towards films like this, I thought the art style, I thought the themes of individuality, creativity, and grief were really great. And the film basically follows those two girls, and we see how they're able to develop this friendship, this bond, but also this mutually beneficial dynamic. But despite the success that they find, their paths still end up diverging because they're individuals with different ambitions and goals. And for the rest of the film, you explore the outcome of that decision as well as the different possibilities that could have played out because of a nice little time travel moment. In theory, I think that this is a beautiful depiction of youth, of growing up, of all that jazz. But these girls are the heartbeat of the film. The film only works because of their dynamic with one another. And I felt like that pulse was a little weak. There are some really high emotional impact scenes, and I felt like they were a little bit dampened by not showing a little bit more, by not developing a little bit more of these girls. Maybe that is too nitpicky of something that I'm picking up on. You know, I still cried, but I feel like I could have crowed a little bit harder if those things were changed. And I'm not gonna lie, I did have to rewatch that time travel sequence a couple times. Alright, film number 2, In the Heart of the Sea. Who knew Moby Dick was based on a true story? I certainly didn't. I only read the comic, and even then I went, this is boring as hell. But I do know a little bit about the story, about the plot. So for the first 10-15 minutes, I'm going, who's Ishmael? Where's Ishmael? Chris, you Ishmael? Who am I gonna call Ishmael? That might actually be the most corny joke I wrote down, so let's move on. Also, Chris, why do you have an Australian accent?
Let go blue lines and sheet home!
Matter of fact, why are there 7 continents of accents going on right now? Is somebody gonna answer that? Basically, all you need to know is an 1800s British whaling ship goes on an expedition for whale oil, but when they find no whales and subsequently no whale oil, things don't go as planned. Because Captain Greed and Ego is like, that. We're not cutting our losses. You. Them who said that we shouldn't continue because of some murderous, bloodthirsty whale. We're gonna get this fixed and we're gonna continue. Okay? That's what we're going to do. We are going to proceed. Shocker, things went horribly wrong. That bloodthirsty whale was actually a bloodthirsty whale. And now this is a story about the hunter becoming the prey, but also the indomitable human spirit that will persevere through anything life throws at it. Honestly, I only turned this movie on because I don't know if I was having an anxiety attack or just tweaking off a Celsius, but I cannot get myself to calm down, and this was trending on Netflix, and I said, let me turn this dull ass movie on. And let me tell you, that boring ass movie worked. Jokes aside, this is not as bad as some of the reviews are making it seem. I think this is perfectly fine if you're with your dad on Father's Day. Turn this on if you have one.
What?
Meet the Fockers. Meet me trying to give a fuck about this film that opens with Ben Stiller filming his girlfriend reading Toni Morrison the same way they would a dead or missing girlfriend on NCIS New Orleans. I don't even know if that's a new show. This was such a formulaic early 2000s raunchy white guy comedy, okay? Everything in it has just been milked for too long. I'm sick of seeing it. Guy wants to propose to girlfriend, But something is holding him back. Is it his insecurity / secret that he's holding about himself? Or is it the op of a father? Am I too old or too whitewashed to say that word? Both, but this essentially leads to a bunch of wacky tacky adventures that could have been easily avoided if he just stood up for himself. But then we wouldn't have a movie, Taya. Okay, but compared to the sequels that I attempted to watch, I'm never finishing those. This wasn't horrible. Yeah, I even chuckled a couple times. Wolfman. Oh,
Savannah, slow down.
man has a rocky marriage, is unemployed, no job, and a deceased father. But he has a lovely daughter, so let's hashtag winning to that. One day, Blake gets confirmation that his dad is officially legally dead. And he's like, you know what, wife who nobody's really sure if really likes me right now? Let's go to middle of nowhere, Oregon to collect the things from my dead abusive father. Yeah, let's do that. And actually, just on top of that, I had a spooky wookie encounter with some mysterious beast in the middle of the woods during the broad daylight. But this just seems perfect for us, you know. Forget Cabo, forget Nantucket. I don't even know. I'm just naming places off. I don't even know where the hell Nantucket is. Let's do this. Over here, this is where my dad used to yell at me. Oh, back there, don't go over there, okay? That's where we encountered the mystery beast that was actually never caught, so,
Ruh-roh.
This is tough because watching it, I enjoyed it. Like, I was feeling the intensity. I was feeling the thriller. Like, it was giving creature feature. But, like, what am I supposed to take away from this? It's so strange that every single horror movie that comes out now feels the need to include some theme of grief, loss, whatever. But then they, like, don't completely follow through with it or don't have a complete stand on it. Or it's just a bad stand. Like, you don't have to do it. It's okay. It's okay. I promise. I wonder if there's a universe out there where she could have just kept him leashed up in their New York apartment and thrown him a couple Scooby snacks every once in a while. One of them days. The streets were saying this was derivative of Friday and maybe a couple of other black movies. But I have no stance because I don't watch black movies.
That ghetto shit gotta go.
That was a joke. Like, don't play. Two broke friends, one slow, end up having to go on a bunch of wacky tacky adventures because one is too dickmatized to get their life together and they end up being short on rent and now have to avoid eviction. I had a really good time watching this. I thought it was funny. I think it ultimately had a really good message about community in there. And also Keke and SZA, they really ate their roles up. You would think Keke Palmer and SZA had to eat oodles and noodles.
I ain't had no electricity. I lived with a generator for 7 years.
Anywhere within the past year, okay? Like, they were selling the whole broke thing. The whole time, the last time they probably even heard the word EBT was Obama's first term, okay? And maybe not even then, because I remember Keela and the Bee. That was my movie. Sound the alarm, sound the alarms. I am a film bitch.
Go get a job. Go get a job. J-O-B.
So obviously I had to watch a 1930s black and white German film about essentially an SVU episode. And truly following reality, the cops are completely incompetent and end up causing a lot more harm than good to their community. In general, no, the mob mentality is bad, blah, 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 blah. But they got shit done. They won. They took care of business. Like, I'm sorry, like... Okay, and let me just say, being born in the age of giant green men fighting alien super unicorns, fascist from space, or whatever the hell Marvel is doing, watching animated meatballs fall from the sky and Tubi originals, it's really refreshing to watch a film that's not overly stimulating. Speeding down a hear me. I'm only saying this because this is how my brain works, and Kid Cudi has a song called Mulholland Drive. But is it not absolutely bonkers that Diddy blew up his car? Is that not just some sort of concept from a comic book? I'm sick of hearing about the baby oil. Talk about this. Moving on. One day I woke up and a bunch of people that look like this were in complete shambles that this man here had passed. Like, I've had Twin Peaks on my watch list for a very long time. I know of the Dune adaptation and all of its glory.
Not until you tell them both who I really am.
But I didn't really know who this man was or anything about his filmography. But, you know, people that use the word my partner usually have good movie recommendations, so I said, let me give it a go. And honestly, I did attempt to watch this a couple years ago, but you would have thought that I was born during the Reagan administration the way I said, turn that weird shit off. But I'm glad I've matured since then. Because yes, this is in fact still weird shit, but dare I say it's a perfect movie? Dude, I feel so cringy saying that. I feel so like stereotypically like, oh, I have a Criterion collection, do you know that, when I say stuff like that. But I understand why a bunch of people love this movie. It's so good. And I want everyone to go into it blind, so I'm not even gonna talk about it that much. Girl, let's say avant-garde film noir romance. Aesthetic wise, like, I wasn't even fully in love with it. At some points I was like, what the fuck? But it had such a strong screenplay for me that it kind of absolves it of any sort of nitpicky little criticisms I have. This was easily a 10 out of 10. My freshman year of high school, I signed up for the debate team. And you know what? I didn't even fully hate it. I went to a couple practices, went to like the little intro meeting, whatever. But I was the only person who signed up, and I was 14 years old. So you know what I did? Because I wanted to hang out with people and not be tied down to the debate team, I sent my teacher an email the day of competition. Bitch, I think the bus was already pre-ordered. And in class, I sent her an email and said, nah, this ain't gonna work. I'm so serious. I'm just like, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm not feeling it. But you know who was feeling it? These 4 college students. Was that a good segue? So Denzel Washington's character is this renowned professor who also on the side, you know, is fighting for class consciousness. But it is in the deep South during Jim Crow. So of course, this is quite a dangerous side hustle. And it puts his future, not only like life-wise, but also his future with the debate team at risk as well, and his goal of pushing them into these white-only spaces. No tea, no shade, because I did enjoy this, but it is 8th grade classroom coded. It is middle school end of semester coded. Okay? You know, it's based on true events, underdog story that also talks about the racial tensions in the South and has some really heavy moments that make Black people go, ooh, I'm happy that wasn't me. It makes everyone else go, jeepers, times were really bad. Racism is wrong. Fun fact about me, I had an internship working with a nonprofit that advocated against mass incarceration last summer. These aren't even segues at this point. This is just me chatting about myself. But this film is about a group of incarcerated men who find purpose and community through their theater group. Oh, my back. I know you might be hesitant. I know you might be thinking, this sounds like something, when it was a thing, an all-white DEI department would come up with. But let me diffuse that. In no way, shape, or form is this one of those, you know, white savior narratives. There is no sympathetic correctional officer, pro bono lawyer ready to risk their entire career to help these men or one particular man. It's just these men lifting themselves up and going through the natural challenges of the prison industrial complex. And I think what really makes it feel genuine is literally, besides Coleman Domingo, all of these men are playing their former selves. Like, literally. Great performances, great movie. Give it a go. I don't know much about Isaac Asimov or if he's even still alive, but given the recent rise of AI, I'm curious if he's sitting back going, oh my god, I kind of ate. I wrote an oddly prescient piece of work on the moral and social implications of integrating not just AI, but human-like, close to sentient robots. Oops. To the point where my book doesn't even feel like sci-fi anymore, but more like an omen. Wowza, I ate that. But in reality, he probably would watch the movie and go, why the hell is this an hour-long sneaker ad with Will Smith?
Converse All-Stars, vintage 2004.
and the girl from How I Met Your Mother. Will Smith's character in this is robot racist. Okay, he's fully moving like 2020. I'm not gonna say that. Moving on, he's a cop. That joke would have been... Moving on. He's a cop that's really into MAHA, Make America Human Again. But you know, things end up changing when he meets Robot Jesus. There's a pending robot takeover war, an evil CEO. It's a lot going on. And somewhere in there is a really interesting story and plot. But it was 2004, so it's aggressively mid, maybe even bad, but has cool aesthetics, so mixed with nostalgia, it's like a 7. Purple rain, purple rain. I saw this movie with my mom in theaters, the remastered version at Dolby Theater, and this was a horror story. This woman, was being terrorized by a 5-foot biracial man in Kitten Hills. Marinate on that. But it's okay because he had a hard home life. He's just a tortured artist. Plot-wise, this was genuinely abysmal. I mean, what I kind of gathered from it was Prince's character who plays the kid, I don't know what the age was on that, puts his band's spot at the venue in jeopardy because he only wants to perform like 1 or 2 songs, greatly I might add, but it's not working for the promoter, and he meets a girl who he terrorizes for the duration of the film, but the girl is in training to maybe take his spot. Also, his dad is very abusive. Besides the scattered pieces of a plot that I don't even know, Prince puts on some of the best performances I've ever seen. Like, he genuinely makes this movie go from, without the music, genuinely a 1 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10. Purely based off his ability alone. Also, I guess, you know, the lighting, the editing, people kind of ate maybe slightly.
Where are you? Answer me, motherfucker!
Hey, you tough, right? Get shot every day, B. But typical story of boy born into poverty, wants more from his life besides what he's getting. So, you know, forget trade school, forget night school. Forget a CDL. I'm gonna move that O.
And every time people come up missing, the more and more people come up missing, the more they release more chicken sandwiches and shit. I'm noticing that.
But this does a great job of unglamorizing that lifestyle because it had some really uncomfortably dark moments in it, specifically one in particular that was so it was hard to watch. And besides that, I think there are some really cool aesthetic decisions to make, specifically making the soundtrack Phil Collins. Also, the ending leaves you kind of with a little bit to think about in regards to the morals of glamorizing violence and what does it really mean to leave the cycle of violence. Or maybe I'm reading into it too much.
Hey, niggas get shot every day, B. You be aight, nigga. You tough, right?
The parenting. I just know this oddly stacked cast read the script, saw the amount they were going to get paid, and said, what the hell, sure. Rohan E. Josh book a spookily cheap Airbnb for their little weekend getaway with their parents, where Rohan plans on proposing to Josh, but things get a little spooky wooky, a little scary movie spooky wooky. You know, demons being summoned from Wi-Fi passwords, dogs being possessed. You know, it's a lot of wacky things that put a bit of a pivot in Rohan's plans. Honestly, could have been a lot more camp. And you know, I would recommend this if you're with your friends. It's close to Halloween time, but you don't want to watch anything that's like Schindler's List or 12 Years a Slave spooky. You want something like this. Calling all the poem-writing Duke Ellington listening to Shea Moisture and lavender smelling black people to the front right now. I got something special for you. No, it's not a film camera. I'm sorry, you can back up.
You can back up a little bit.
But it is an artsy, jazzy, poetic, steamy romance between black people with an almost all-black cast. This is really for all the black studies majors. This is foundational material. Look, the romance was not giving it for me. Just like with Love and Basketball, it was giving spooky. Sorry. But it's so rare to have a film this dedicated to showcasing artsy, creative black people, and for that I'm gonna give it its 10s. But in regards again to the romance, no thank you. You can keep that. I'm not hungry, thank you. But again, I do really appreciate the film because segue, I am black, artsy, and slightly pretentious. So naturally, I had to watch a 1950s black and white film about a charismatic man plucked from obscurity that ends up becoming the biggest radio personality in the nation, to the point where he's even getting his hand into marketing and politics. But wait a minute. Plot twist. Oh my god. He's a sociopathic rat man behind closed doors. He has deep psychotic issues. Oh my. How unheard of. Also, he's a criminal and a liar. This is kind of eerie because of how applicable it is to the current state of the world and its leaders. And even it touching on how cancel culture for many in power is not even really a cancellation, it's a pivot point. So shout out Spike Lee for randomly coming on my FYP and recommending this movie. And also Half Price Books for having this. And me having a spending addiction, so feeling the need to buy it. Shout out all those things that had to happen for me to watch this. Sinners. It was perfect. Perfect. Down to every minute detail. If you haven't seen this yet, what exactly are you doing? Get it together. If I had infinite money and time, I don't even know what number watch I would be on for this movie. Maybe the 25th. One of the rare times that I thought about getting up and clapping at a movie. Okay. In theaters, I think that's only happened with Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think this and that are the only 2 times where I immediately watched a movie and went, bitch, that was a movie. Now we're just going back to the bottom. The Blob. The boring, lame, whatever. Basically, this was super dull and lifeless to me. I don't care what sort of film bro explanation people have for why this is a classic. I don't care. I didn't enjoy it. But if you don't know about the film, a man decides to touch a mystery slime that fell from the sky, and that goop ends up being some sort of creature from space that terrorizes this town. And it was a job. Everything was a job. And the teens looked 45. Clearly Marvel is working overtime. Post-Endgame flop, and flop after flop. And this is probably the best thing they've released in a really long time. A ragtag group of losers have to band together against a former heroin addict turned accidental superhuman who unfortunately has a bit of a personality problem. This is darker than a normal Marvel movie, for sure. It is better than a normal Marvel movie, for sure. But the concept of Marvel taking inspiration from Hiroshima is so... I compare this film to Strawberry Milk. At first you're going, Strawberry Milk, a little bit different. I like that. But from there, some people are gonna go, so this is just milk. And other people are gonna go, no, it's strawberry milk. I would like another glass. Final Destination 3. Finally, we're on the last movie. I am so sick of talking right now. Wendy and her friends are on a senior trip to the amusement park, but Wendy is still having to do a little bit of work because she's on the yearbook team, so she's snapping her photos, but she eventually gets a little bit of a break and is able to go on the ride of the amusement park. Insert the name because I don't even remember it. But while she's on the ride, she has a bit of a vision where, everyone she's friends with and gone to class with for years dies, including herself, in a horrific way. And in the process delivers one of the best horror movie performances ever. In a Final Destination movie. The cast, the death scenes, the aesthetic, whatever finger it is, this was tea. It does make me sad that the streets are saying that this is the best one and the rest of them are kind of... But I'll try to watch all of them eventually, but this for sure was good. Outro. Look. I know I said in the past video I filmed of this like 7 months ago or whatever that I was gonna put these videos out like every month, 2-3 months, whatever. Girl, that ain't happen. And B, that these were going to be not just everything I watched, but everything I read, and everything I listened to. Okay. Books are pending. And music is pending as well. But you know what I can do for you? Boom. Here's some of the TV shows that I watched. Also. Yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I really hope this video turns out good. Who knows when it's coming out, but yeah, thank you. Clap if you knew. Oh, that's a long one. I'm gonna have to cut that out. That's just how my brain works. It was so ghetto. I'm sorry.